NOS4A22, Chapter 3, Carmody's Super Dad. Wayne's dad eventually broke down and went to beg, pleading with Maggie, the librarian, to help find him. Instead of finding news about Wayne and Millie, though, Maggie learns of the most powerful strong creatives. These strong creatives are very old and vampiric, along with a strong order of followers. These strong creatives use another term, though, instead, to describe themselves. Their order is of a most evil nature, the oldest nature there is. Wayne was awakened just as quickly as he had fallen asleep in his chair next to Millie. But it wasn't Millie's voice he heard that made him about jump out of his skin as soon as he began to enter dreamland. Poor kid was tired, too. Holy shit, Mom! God damn it, Wayne, watch your mouth. Oh, sorry, Mom. Wait, you can't spank me. Your ghost hands will go right through me like Casper the Friendly Ghost. When have I ever spanked you, Wayne? Never. Now you must know why I came to talk to you right now. It's very important. So important you can't believe it. Oh shit, Mom, I'm sorry. I know I'm just tired. Okay, Millie. I need you to write some more stuff down with your pretty little handwriting. Can you do that for me, please, dear? Vic asked Millie so she could talk to her son without worrying whether he would absorb all this vital information or not. Yes, I can do that for you, Miss McQueen. Thank you. I'm just going to say this once. Then I'm gone until next time, okay? Vic's apparition turned her head back and forth to look at both of them to read their reactions, and Wayne nodded his head along with Millie as she did the same, together with synchronized timing, as if they were on stage together playing some head-bobbing tunes. Your dad didn't know what else to do since the police weren't helping find you. He went to see Maggie. She found you too, but not the way she wanted. She found you through something called the leech. You got that? Vic looked under her brows at Millie, and Millie nodded her head 2 times in efficient, trustworthy compliance, as if she said, I do. Good, thank you. Here's the only other thing you need to know. Your dad isn't mad at you for going away with Millie. He was just very relieved because he was so sad. Now, he really is on a mission with Maggie looking for you. Wow, really? Dad really loves me. I feel really bad now, Mom. Wayne became excited. Yes, I know, don't worry about that. When Maggie asked her mental powers within herself to help find you, she was shown a dark energy that is called the leech. The leech is something that knows the way and the area to go to find you, just not yet exactly. We don't know when this evil leech is going to find this place, but if you stay here, they will find you, and you will be with me. I don't want that for either of you yet. You two deserve to live your lives in happiness for once, I think. So all else I'm going to tell you is that you need to leave this place after you take a day to gather all you want to take with you to find Maggie and your dad. As soon as the word dad was heard, then Vic was no longer seen. Wayne tried to speak, but found himself forcing himself to close off his throat as he realized it was too late. He needed to ask his mom something that felt so important that it made his chest feel like he had eaten a habanero pepper. Wayne had never felt such a grown-up feeling before, and he thought this perky sentiment to himself. He had this conundrum going on from within. Wayne began to experience 2 powerful emotive feelings at once. It was too much. He was at his limit and he knew it. So Millie was still writing the last words and looked up to see the astonishment that bewildered and panicked her by suddenly seeing Wayne's newly shared feelings of crippling stress. As he looked down at the paper Millie wrote on with an old calligraphy-style pen, Wayne's stress had peaked to the point of lightheadedness. He saw the table moving up at his face like it made a slow jump at him. This wasn't the case. Wayne had bounced his head off the table and gave himself a gushing, exploded, bloody nose. Wayne had a few baby teeth left, and they became knocked loose, so he didn't know where to put his hand, either over his busted nose or on the side of his mouth. Those wiggly teeth hurt because they weren't ready to come out yet. They were a canine and a premolar. How crazy, Wayne thought. How crazy it was to have this fainting spell occur and not be concerned in the slightest with the physical pain or damage that comes with such things. These facial injuries were no joke. The only thing that Wayne could think of, though, was what he saw for that little glimpse in the dreamland in that specific time he was there. He was shown something particular, he thought, and he knew it. He just knew it. Wayne struggled intensely within himself as the fight for clarity could not be won within his recollection of memories. He himself knew that he was the creator and originator of these deep desires within his own dreams, so this frustrated him to the point of madness. Wayne didn't know for sure, but he had a strong feeling that his ghost-like mom showed him what he needed to know in this vision-like dream he could now barely remember. The uncertainty bothered him more than he cared to admit. Addressing this inner turmoil meant that Wayne would be admitting his uncertainty of his drive that constructed his wisdom as he grows from a boy to a man. This bothered him. This was one of those things where a man just knows he needs to keep to himself. Sometimes keeping things to yourself can be really bad for you. Most times an individual has to tell someone everything, so there's nothing weighing on that person. This is what becomes damaging to an individual over time, which proves to be more harmful than anything else. People need to let things out sometimes, otherwise more people can get hurt than to begin with. This is most tragic, when you're left with a bigger problem than what you started with. It all depends on the situation and the individual, apparently. Wayne was choosing to follow his vision for his fate. What he saw by staying quiet was a peace that comes with only a slight bitterness, with a taste far less strong than if he chose to speak of his inner turmoil. If Wayne brought up his memories to Millie, without a doubt in his mind, there would be a big issue. Wayne knew it for sure. Even worse, Wayne was convinced that any conversation about it would also cause a problem that would bring other big problems. The obvious problem of wondering if he missed something important, which he obviously did. That was no doubt in Wayne's mind. For sure he is missing some critical information by a missed message from his angelic divine mother. How could he allow himself to forget something so important? Or maybe it was the intensity of the message that was causing this blinding mental block. He hoped this to be the case and not unattainable. That thought scared him so much he couldn't bear it. Wayne was straining his brain to remember, but the frustration was bringing pain. The sharpness was a sensation intensified by failure. This was agonizing for him, and yet Wayne suffered silently. How could she know if he wouldn't say anything? That would be quite impossible, of course. Wayne would carry the load, as they say, going about his day silently suffering with this crippling doubt weighing him down. Fortunately, this mental torment wouldn't last longer than the few moments wasted on these thoughts. Millie said something that sent Wayne right back there to what his ghost-like mom showed him. Once she said it, Millie just looked at Wayne funny until she said, "Hey!" Wayne jumped but still was stuck in this otherworldly trance that made Millie freak out for a minute. "Wayne, snap out of it. That's it, snap out of it. Thanks, Millie." Wayne was like a relieved kitten brought back to its alley cat mother. When Wayne heard the words of the phrase "snap out of it," He immediately in his subconscious trunk sifted to the time and times when his mom told him this. The one time in particular, Wayne could never forget the time his mom, Vic, would always go back to for reference. This built a strong foundation for a memory within Wayne's lifelong stressed, traumatized mind. Vic knew something was wrong, she just didn't know what. She didn't know that time was feeling like it was flying by as if hours were missing. She wasn't aware of this feeling that was a sensation overcoming Wayne's embodied imagination that took over to grow, to be much more than imagination. Wayne's brain was the equivalent of mush. He didn't permanently become demented or brain dead just in these moments. He was fully fried like a southern fried style turkey. There was a blur of reflected frames of reality that were vibrational waves. These images bounced off the shaking sheets of moments as they played out in real time through this disturbance between the two worlds. The world of dreams and the world of reality were merged through creativity, through imagination. Thoughts pop in heads for what seems like no reason and are passed off as nonsense that has no meaning. Waiting until minutes turned into unbearable blockades from witnessing the tension broke as Millie snapped from breaking away free from her staring spell. This was becoming Wayne's new reality. Like his mom's eye problems, she had developed, along with her strong creative abilities development. The danger of being a strong creative adds most people's names etched to a long list of young early deaths. Basically, every strong creative dies young with a bright spark of energy burning from the essential vital oil of life. The energy that sparks life can change the person. That unseen power can change the creature that you are, how you think, and all you do. I about puked so hard I about puked out my eyeballs. Wayne turned his head quickly over to look at Millie with an exaggerated expression on his face. There's something going on with you, and I feel like you should have told me. Millie was visibly upset more than just something she could have passed off. I didn't know what was going on. Wayne defended himself with all the visceral energy that came rushing to the surface of his feelings in his frantic mental defense. Sorry, I didn't know if you've been keeping this from me or not. Millie's spurted reaction said everything about how she really felt beyond her inability to vocally express herself properly according to her raw feeling for her precious little Wayne. Okay, I think I got it now, Millie. Things have happened lots of times since we came here to paradise to heal up and get better, so now I never can read you because I'm not used to seeing you with life in your eyes and color in your face or a nice, wholesome smile. Wayne cutely expressed his concerned feelings. All right, I see now that I was wrong about you. Millie hinted at something tender that flew right over Wayne's oblivious head. You know, I know we can't waste time. We gotta get out of here. We've gotta do this the right way. I've got to show you something, though. Wayne then abruptly closed his eyes and took a deep breath in a focus of relief while he achieved the right state of meditation. Wayne put out his hand. There was a sense that he had something in his hand, although clearly visibly nothing was there. Things were feeling funny to Millie as she found herself in an uncomfortable state of confusion. She thought this must be how an audience member feels when they're called up to participate on stage with a magician who you find out is terrible, while the end of his act is approaching as you're in the dark awaiting unknown, oncoming humiliation. Millie was sure of a disaster happening or some kind of emotional calamity on the way as she stared into the palm of the weirdly extended hand and distorted arm of Wayne. As Millie thought these crazy off-the-wall thoughts, Wayne held his open hand about 6 inches away from her face. I knew you were keeping something from me, Millie shrugged. Hey, I didn't know this was going to happen. How could I? I never did this before, Wayne countered in sincerity. There they were, in a strange place inside that ball of light contained with solid aspects to the matter it was comprised of. As the bright thing formed in Wayne's relaxed, ready hand, the energy coming off of the object touched gently with strong pressure against Millie's face. After establishing capability of physical contact, the energy felt like a good smack from industrial strength commercial equipment's magnetic force. Of course, this isn't what happened at all. This was a thing that was spontaneous beyond any extension of consciousness on Wayne's part. To him, this was like some top secret information that has just been revealed to him that he wasn't supposed to know about. It felt that good and gave him that much of a rush. Unfortunately, Millie wasn't feeling this way or sharing this same lovely sentiment. Millie was freaking out on the inside, but keeping her composure quite well, as she usually does. What a thing to get used to. No one should get used to keeping their bad feelings inside for their whole childhood up into their adult life, because once a kid does that their whole life, then they become an unbalanced fraction that is an unfair sum, weighted down in your mind without the support needed for sustainability. This is how we're going to go. I get it now. You are much more powerful than your mom, and there was no telling. There was just no telling with you, Millie said, struck with amazement. Yes, I just focused on the feeling. We are inside the feeling where I want to be. If that makes sense to you. Wayne gave an unexpected showering of wisdom. I was really worried and thinking about all kinds of other crazy things for a minute. What a pleasant surprise. Millie let herself relax and laugh it off. Yeah, what a relief. Wayne boyishly reverted to his innocent old self that Millie fell in love with when she first met him. The place where Wayne inadvertently took himself along with Millie was brought on purely out of feeling and by no means a premeditated act of actually thinking about doing and making happen what happened. What happened was nothing like some kind of thought-out act. Soon as Wayne felt what he wanted and where he wanted to go, they were sent inside that place of such strong manifested energy. This was like a make-believe playtime daydream fantasy he had mesmerized himself with while playing as a younger boy so many times, most every countless day for years growing up. Thinking about all those times where he was in his own world, yet this place here was real as anything Wayne or Millie had ever felt or experienced. Wayne knew he couldn't and wouldn't be able to see himself manifest this visual physical energy, but it would be with him still outside the paradise they created, in which they were on their way out of now. It was such a relief to think they avoided going out a bad way. Too bad that wasn't true, but it was all they knew in the moment. These false thoughts of comfort and a fake sense of safety had overtaken them to catch them by surprise. This surprising new way to travel was what saved Millie and Wayne completely. In that moment, the miracle happened, saving their lives from the bad way. If you're not ready and you go through the bad way trying to leave, then you're pretty much doomed. Not being ready while you go through is like trying to outrun a predator with 100% kill rate efficiency. Luckily, Millie and Wayne weren't having to go through the bad way while being in harm's way. When their short, quick journey slowed down and was coming to an end, they knew things now as the outside blurs became more and more visible, revealing the horror just outside their protective energy shell that encased their precious lives. Millie and Wayne's lives had just been restored from that zombie-like state they miraculously were able to escape from. What they saw outside Wayne's thin protective traveling shell was so horrific. The picture was quite clear as the moving background came to a still. No way to describe it other than seeing the big picture from this place at an angle that exposes the view of how small we are to the things much more important to us. This is the best description someone from the outside of their experience could get. All they wanted to do was scream in maddening terror from this outrageous realization, but their reality was already flipped, and there was no coming back from the side of the truth. The best part about them traversing through the bad way unharmed is such a delightful detail to the macabre. It was not exactly the protective energy shell saving Millie and Wayne from harm that waited just outside of their little pod. The only reason it worked was because through the distorted lens looking through on the outside, Millie and Wayne within this strange orb looked like entities that exist in the bad way, only even more dangerous. How funny. It was just a weird fluke of an optical illusion to the unnamed entities of people's nightmares, whose image stops hearts of the weak.